Alright, so here I am, doing the thing. Let's call it back there. My name is Aaron Schroeder, and I'm 30 years old, and I started a clothing brand 3 years ago. The first brand I made was called the Grand Nexus Apparel. I was working my 9 to 5. Actually, I was working car sales and working a lot more than 9 to 5. Let's be honest. However, I said I'm not gonna get rich doing this, right? And so I've always wanted, and anytime I've gotten more of it, my lifestyle just kept going up with it. Never really took advantage of those time frames when I was doing well. And so I thought to myself, what's an easy thing that I could sell online that people would love? Clothing, boom. Easy, right? Not so easy. So I got into that space, started to make some clothes, some designs, just completely no brand identity whatsoever. Never done this before in my entire life, right? So I didn't know what I needed to be prepared for. I didn't know what to do. I just went in the line and just started going, right? And just buying samples, just spending a lot of money on clothing that nobody wanted to buy. Well, then I started getting a little bit more intrigued about what's going on, and I have no real direction. And everyone's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I'm like, okay, you're right. So then I rebranded to Goodnight Apparel. This is in 2023 now. And I felt like that was a pretty good name. I was like, that's a great name. What's it stand for though? Not really sure. More of like a rebellious, live your life the way you want to on your own terms type thing. Well, I found a group to help me out and figure out what I really dial in my brand, honestly. That helped a little bit. And with each call I was on with these mentors, I was able to really figure out where I was at. Am I really doing it because I want to do it, or am I doing it just for the money part? And I had to sit with that question for a while and figure out why it's not working for me, why I feel so resistant against the process, right? So sat and stirred with that for a little bit and figured out that it wasn't really what I wanted. It wasn't the name that I wanted. It wasn't something that I thought I could be proud of later on, right? People bought from it. People thought it was really cool. The logo was cool. Everything was cool, but it had no meaning behind it, right? And that's where I then really dived into that whole entire year, what I really wanted to build out. And while I was working car sales still, dedicating a lot of time to that. And it took a lot of time for my family. It took a lot of time, things I'd love to do, enjoy, and I was really just not enjoying my life that much. And so if I was going to dedicate such amount of time, I needed to make sure that I loved doing it. And I loved what it stood for, and I loved the vision, what I could see, right? So that really got me thinking out of the scenario of I'm doing it for money, now I'm doing it for myself, what I really want to be about. So now we fast forward to about 2024 now. I rebrand completely, right? May 2024, I go with a clothing name, Mythos. And Mythos, or Mythos in Greek. And I've always been huge Greek influence. I worked for a Greek man for a long time. He owned this place called the Parthenon here in Nebraska. And the food was amazing. His culture was amazing. They were very friendly, very open arms, very like, hey, come here. They love to debate. They love to talk and just talk shit all the time. It was super fun. It was a vibe, honestly. And they really did care about the people. So I've always been inspired and influenced by like war, also Zeus, Hades, the whole Greek pantheon, right? And I love doing it, and I love learning about it. It was one of my main subjects that I really went in and really learned more about than anything else. And I was just so gravitated towards it because of just the meaning of the stories. They could have a completely different meaning one time, and you could look into it and it'll have a completely different meaning another time. And it was just a really cool way, and I love the fresco art they have, the murals they have, everything about it just really gravitated towards me, right? And so that's why I brought the brand Mythos. And what I wanted that to inspire is have people tell their own story. I wanted people to live the life they want, right? So, and such, telling their own story. So I got a lot of kickback from that. People were like, why were you doing that? And these are some of the same people that asked me, what does your brand even mean? And now it has a meaning behind it, like, why'd you stop doing this? Because that one's super dope. This isn't that dope, this isn't that cool. So I lost some people along the way. But I knew deep down in my heart and just my gut that this was it. Like, this is something that I could be proud of, that I could look down 10 years, 20 years down the road and be like, this is my life's work, right? And so out of lieu of that, I really wanted to document my experiences. I've not been real that serious about it. I've been dabbling in it, but I haven't been really like to the wall, ready to go, killing it, let's do it, right? So this is more of an attempt and an effort to do that. I really want to bring this brand full circle because I've been doing this whole paycheck to paycheck thing. The outside circumstances dictate my inside, right? And I don't want to do that anymore. And so this is more of a tribute, more of an accountability factor. I'm posting more on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram even, to really inspire people who are in my shoes. I'm 30 years old. I have 2 children. I have a house. I have a girlfriend. We're not married yet, but I really want to get married. And I really want to have that, and I'm doing all these things because I want to show my children that anything is possible, that you can literally think of it. And if you have an actual steps towards it and you dedicate love and time and all these other things towards what you are passionate about, it can happen. And I want to be that role model. And that's why I'm doing a lot of these things now that I wasn't doing in my 20s, because I didn't really have an influence. I didn't really have any way to go. I was just kind of going through life doing what everybody else was doing. I was following the crowd. Now that I'm going back the other way, and it's tough because you don't know what's going to come. You don't know what's going to happen. It's very unknowing, uncertain. You feel fear of failure, but failure is the only way forward. And if you don't try at all, you are going to live a life full of regret. And I don't want that for myself. And I don't want to show my children that I lived a life of regret. And I don't want to instill in them these low quality, low frequency vibration thinking, to think the way that I think back in my 20s, from 18 to about 28, honestly. And I want them to really know that they can do anything. They can dress how they want to dress. That the outside world isn't the end all be all. That isn't what they want, right? They see other people, they follow the crowd. I don't want them to follow the crowd. I want them to follow what they want to do in their life. And this is an attempt to do that. And I want to also just document my experiences of building a business and building a clothing brand and building a personal brand as well too. This is more of an attempt on a personal brand. But I really hope that I can get through to somebody that's going to thank me, 10 years down the road, be like, hey, I watched this video and you really helped me out through a lot of things. And I just want to see everybody win. I realized I gave up a lot of time on things that didn't matter. And now that it's crunch time, I don't have a lot of time anymore. 2 children take a lot of time up, having a girlfriend, house, responsibilities, work. I still have a full-time job on top of this. And I want to make this my full-time job and really build my own empire, build my own just sanctuary and this whole thing, right? And yeah, so hopefully somebody watches this. If nobody does, whatever. But this is more of a documentation on my own. But see you around.